Hello dear friends. In our previous videos, we have discussed about the external features of Scoliodon, its digestive system, circulatory system, respiratory system. In this video, we are going to discuss about the nervous system of Scoliodon with a special reference to brain. So the first question arises: what is a nervous system? The nervous system is a complex network of nerves and cells that carry messages to and from the brain and spinal cord to various parts of the body. And the function of the nervous system is control and coordination. So nervous system receives stimuli from the environment and act according to it. Nervous system control all the motor activity of the body and it coordinate all the systems of the body. If we talk about the evolution of the nervous system, in animal kingdom, the phylum Protozoa, they do not have any nervous system. In the case of phylum Porifera, which are core-bearing animals, we have seen nerve nets are there, which is formed by neurons. And these neurons combine to form ganglions, as we seen in the case of worms. And when this ganglion combine, they form nucleus. And the combination of nucleus form the brain. And this brain shows complexity in the developing the vertebrates. And in the case of human being, the brain is very complex structure. The nervous system in the case of Scoliodon is made up of from three parts: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. The central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord. This brain and spinal cord is present in the central axis of the body, and that's why they form central nervous system. From this brain arises the cranial nerves, and from spinal cord arises the spinal nerves, which form the peripheral nervous system, because they emerges from the central nervous system and they go towards the periphery of the body. That's why they form peripheral nervous system. The third one, autonomous nervous system, includes sympathetic and parasympathetic branch. In this video, we are going to specifically discuss about the brain of the Scoliodon. The brain of the Scoliodon is present between the two eyes, and this brain is more developed than the lampreys. It is well protected by cranium, which is made up of from cartilage, because Scoliodon is a cartilaginous fish. And this brain having a covering, that covering is called as meninges. Now the brain of Scoliodon is divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. In medical term, the brain is called as encephalon. So the forebrain is called as prosencephalon, midbrain is called as mesencephalon, and hindbrain is called as rhomencephalon. First of all, we discuss about the forebrain. This forebrain includes three parts: olfactory lobe, cerebrum, and diencephalon. So this part makes the forebrain. The first part of the forebrain is this olfactory lobe, which is attached to cerebrum by this olfactory peduncle. Above the olfactory lobe, there is this olfactory sac, which is a very large structure in the case of Scoliodon. This olfactory sac is situated in the nostril region, and it performs the function of olfaction when it tastes the water. So that's why the power of smell is very strong in the case of Scoliodon, and that's why the common name of the Scoliodon is dogfish. Now this olfactory sac in the bottom have this olfactory lobe, and olfactory lobe is connected to the cerebrum, which is the second part of the forebrain, by this olfactory peduncle. The cerebrum, which controls the motor activity of the body, in the case of Scoliodon, it is a smooth structure and it is not divided into cerebral hemisphere. In the ventral side, it bears one pore. That pore is called as neuropore. From neuropore arises terminal nerves, which innervates olfactory sac. This terminal nerve is also called as zero cranial nerve. Below this cranium, there is a diencephalon. This diencephalon having three parts. The above part is called as epithalamus, middle part is thalamus, and the below part is called as hypothalamus. So this is the dorsal view of the brain. This is the ventral view of the brain. In dorsal view, we can see epithalamus. In epithalamus, there is a epiphysis or pineal stalk, which have unknown function. Thalamus is present in middle, and it connect forebrain with midbrain. The last part, hypothalamus, include gland, which we can see in ventral view, that include hypophysis, pituitary gland, connected to a stalk called as infundibulum. And above this, there is a optic chiasma, which is the crossing of the optic nerves. Second part of the brain, midbrain or mesencephalon, includes a pair of optic lobe, which is called as corpora bigamia. And this optic lobes control the vision. The last part of the brain is the hindbrain, which includes cerebellum and medulla oblongata. The first part is cerebellum. In the case of Scoliodon, the cerebellum is highly developed. It is divided into three regions, and there is a convolution. This cerebellum controls the position and equilibrium of the fish. As this fish is predatory fish, it performs hunting. And for hunting, it must have a well-developed equilibrium and can able to swim, can change the direction and can move fast to do hunting. And that's why the cerebellum is highly developed in the case of this Scoliodon. The last part of the brain is the medulla oblongata. This medulla oblongata is letter V shape and it contains hollow rustiform body. From this medulla oblongata arises cranial nerves. Cranial nerves 5th to 10th arises from the medulla oblongata, and the cranial nerves 3rd and 4th arises from the midbrain, which includes optic lobes. This medulla oblongata extend forward to form spinal cord, which is the next part of the central nervous system. The study of the brain is important because by studying the brain, we can get the idea of the animal. In the case of Scoliodon, if we see the brain of the Scoliodon, the olfactory sac is a very developed structure. That's why the power of smell is strong. And cerebellum is also very developed. That's why this is a fast swimmer, swift swimmer, and it performs hunting. In the case of human being, the cerebrum is very developed structure, and that's why we have a good power of motor control, good power of intelligence, good power of creativity due to the development of cerebrum. So by studying the brain, we can able to get the idea about that animal. Now this brain is not a solid structure, it is a hollow structure. It contains cavities and that cavities is called as ventricles. And this ventricle is filled with fluid. That fluid is called as cerebrospinal fluid. The cavity of this olfactory sac is called as rhinocele. This rhinocele cavities continue to the lateral cavity. This lateral cavity is the cavity of cerebrum. Now this cavity continues to diacele, which is the cavity of diencephalon. Then there is the optocele, which is the cavity of optic lobes. Means these cavities, they are interconnected with each other, and inside this cerebrospinal fluid flows. After optocele, there is a cavity of epicele, which is the cavity of cerebellum. And then the metacele, which is the cavity of medulla oblongata. And it extends forward in a form of central canal, which is present in the center of the spinal cord. So this brain is not a solid structure. It contains cavity, and the name of the cavities is ventricles. And there are different ventricles inside the brain in which cerebrospinal fluid is present, which act as a hydroskeleton to maintain the shape of the brain. So the brain, if we summarize this topic, the brain of the Scoliodon is more developed than the lampreys. It is situated between the eyes, well protected by the cranium, which is made up of from cartilage, and the covering of the brain is called as meninges. The term brain is medically called as encephalon and divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. The forebrain includes olfactory lobe, which is a very much developed part in the brain of Scoliodon, cerebrum, which control motor activity, and diencephalon. The midbrain, which includes optic lobes, which control the sight. There is a pair of optic lobe called as corpora bigamia. And the hindbrain, rhombencephalon, it includes two parts, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. The cerebellum is highly developed in the case of Scoliodon because it controls the swimming activity. Both the hindbrain, cerebellum and medulla oblongata, control the swimming activity of the fish. And from the medulla oblongata arises the cranial nerves, 5 to 10. There are total 10 cranial nerves, 10 pair of cranial nerves are there in the case of Scoliodon. So that's all about the brain of the Scoliodon. This is the following references which I have used. That is modern textbook of zoology multigrades by R.L. Kotpal and Corded Zoology by E.L. Jordan. So thanks you all of you for watching this video.